Welcome to the next episode of Burning Boxes and Breaking Chains, the accountability podcast that's wrapped around everything about accountability in your lives. These first few episodes are around the fact that it's my fault and things that how you can hold yourself accountable. Today, my guest is Chris Robinson, the executive vice president of the John Maxwell team, and also the author of Drift to Drive, and which is a USA Today bestseller list. But I've actually also happen to have a early copy that's autographed to me. So thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate that. So you guys welcome Chris Robinson to the podcast today. I'm glad to have you.
Hey, glad to be on here, Jeff. Thanks so much. And I am excited about this topic of it's my fault. I mean, come on.
Oh man, when I look at things throughout my life, Chris, when things started to go south, whether it's a conversation, a job interview, a relationship with a friend, or even my spouse or whatever. When I really peel that onion back and look at myself in the mirror, there's a lot of times I can really say it's my fault. I said the wrong words, I did the wrong
Right.
actions, So let me ask you this, because I've gotten a little bit of a taste of the book and being around you multiple times. What was one time in your life you stopped and you went, "This was my fault"?
Yeah, well, I mean that's an easy one when I think about that. And it was very early on in my late teens after being kicked out of college 6 times. I was heavy into drinking and found myself before a judge, that told me some very obvious stuff. He said, Chris, he said, you're on the path of one of two directions. You're either going to be dead or in jail. I thought, well, duh. I mean, this is kind of the path that I'm going. And at the end of that statement, I'm like, well, it's my fault. And so looking back at that scenario, coming out of that, I decided that, hey, that was something in my life that I had to release, that I had to let go of. And I stopped drinking at that point in time. And it's been over, I guess, now 25 years since I've had a single drop of alcohol. And so I had an opportunity there that maybe somebody out there today is struggling with. Well, I just drink occasionally. Well, I just drink for fun, but yet there's never any positive benefit that comes out of it. Think about it, as I look back at those times, what great thing happened in my life when I was just blissfully drunk? Nothing. And so making that change in my life and taking responsibility for that truly been a significant one that shifted everything for me.
Chris, I got to tell you, you were preaching to the choir, my brother. I remember one time I was at an uncle's house, and he sent the good friend of the family. His son was about 12. He walks in the house. He says, "Mr. Ken wants you to fix him a drink." I went, "Me? He wants me to fix him a drink?" I said, "Okay." So I fixed one up. It wasn't 2 minutes. My uncle walked back in that door after Herman delivered it to him, and he said, "No wonder you were drunk all the time." I said, "I wondered about your freaking mental state asking me to fix you a drink." I said, "Dude, I never drank to be sociable."
Right.
And that's the thing, is looking back at things like that. The wave of emotions and stuff coming back to me listening to you talk. It's like every time I drank, I didn't get in trouble. But every
Right.
time I got in trouble, I'd been drinking.
Drink it. Right.
And that, dude, and that realization is like, okay, what's the common denominator here? You and
Right.
alcohol,
Right.
or you and drugs, either
Right.
one. But
Right.
I'm proud to tell you though, Chris, and I haven't really shared this on any of the podcasts, but December the 20th marked a very phenomenal day for me. It marks 42 years since
Wow.
I've had a drink of alcohol or
Come
any
on. Oh
recreational
my
drink.
goodness. Yeah. Incredible.
Dude, I got goosebumps right now because
Yeah.
it is a phenomenal thing, man, to be able to say that to somebody. And it's like, and I've said it too to other people. It's like, you want to go bring up the stuff that happened over 42 years ago? Good luck
Right.
with that. I don't
Right.
live there anymore.
Right.
But today it's about accountability for me. And two of the poems that made the biggest difference for me was The Man in the Glass
Yeah.
and Footprints in the Sand.
Sure.
Because I know for a fact when I was in them lowly times of my life and thought I had abandoned him, he didn't leave me.
Right.
He carried me through those times, and there's not beyond a shadow of a doubt that God carried me through those times, and He still does today when I do stupid
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Still there.
So, but now though, you're not only responsible and accountable for yourself. My goodness, you're have some accountability too to 60,000 certified trainers, speakers, and coaches around the globe. Man, how does that feel?
Yeah, it feels incredible to be a part of an organization that's growing at a rate that we are, and just to have the reach that we have, throughout the world. So being accountable and making sure that I'm representing Maxwell leadership and 60,000 coaches well. There's a tremendous weight and pressure from that, but that weight's a little lighter than what I really consider the biggest weight, and that's carrying it for my 6 kids. So yet there's 60,000 around the world, but what I find more important is I've got to be that example, that model for these 6 kids that I have, that are age 17 next week, age 12, getting ready to be 13, and then 2 10-year-olds as well too. So although the weight of 60,000 is great, the weight of 6 is even greater.
Dude, and here I tried to give you another one. We were playing at Top Golf last year for the summer shake-up, and that young man was a friend of your daughter's. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how'd you get this coffee? He goes, no, he's not mine.
Right.
I got enough. Don't give me any more.
Right, right.
I
Yeah.
hear you. But you're right though. It's such a phenomenal organization, and I'm honored. I'm a member of the National Speakers Association and the John Maxwell Group, so I get to communicate
Yeah.
with people from all over. And that's the cool thing about this podcast is I've got guests coming from both sides.
Right. Yeah.
And they bring different perspectives, and that's the one thing I hope that people listening to this podcast is like, okay, maybe this guest might not resonate, but maybe the next one will,
Right.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
the cool thing, and I told somebody when I was doing a disc profile for them that personalities in this world are like fingerprints.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's unique. Even if you have the same disc personality, like a DS personality type, you're still different. One of you is a
Right.
little higher on the chart than the other one. So there's still
Yeah.
a uniqueness, and John even says it in his newest book here, the Jesus the High Road Leader, is God valued everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Correct.
that's part of the thing too, is I need to bring value to everybody that I run into,
Yeah.
no
And what
matter
I
what
love
kind of day I'm having.
Right. Yeah. And what I love about it, and I just want to do some correction. You said from this side and that side. There's no sides. We're on the side of helping add value to people. So everybody that you bring in from a National Speakers Association or a Maxwell Leadership, we're on the side of adding value to people. And so we're all on the
Two
same
different
side.
organizations. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 different organizations. We're all just trying to do one thing, and that is add value to people through our speaking, through our coaching, through our training, and doesn't matter what group we're learning it from. At the end of the day, we all have the same mission. We just want to help people.
Absolutely. And that's what Cavett says in the National Speakers Association. We don't, everybody's not fighting for a slice of the pie. We just need to make the pie bigger.
Right.
And there's a lot of people out there that are, and I think I was on a Zoom meeting last week with a man named Ray Leone.
Uh-huh.
And I mentioned one time that Les Brown had said that he was in the room with Dr. Norman Vincent Peale.
Yeah.
And one young man asked him, he said, well, how old are you, Dr. Peale? He said, 92. He said, I don't know that I want to be 92. He said, that's because you've never been 91. and Ray spoke up. He was there. And he said, somebody asked him, so, well, Dr. Peale, at 92, why are you still doing this? He goes, amazingly enough, there's still a lot of negative people out there.
Right.
There's
Right.
still people I need to reach. And
Right.
I'm hoping by the wide variety of people that I'm inviting to this podcast, we can reach some of those people.
Yeah.
And sometimes somebody may wake up in the mirror and think, this was my fault.
Right.
Whatever it was that went south. There's
Yeah.
times that the older I get, I look in the mirror and go, this can't be right.
That's correct. That's correct.
But you
Right.
and Mark and everybody are doing such a phenomenal job. And I'm honored that as of the top staff, you're my first guest. So
Oh,
Mark's coming in second, man. I'll ask
all
him
right,
when
there we go.
I you know.
Oh my goodness. Jim,
So
I was going to say, when talking about this, it's my fault topic. It really made me think about my uncle. My uncle, his name was Martin Matthews, and he started a boys club in St. Louis, Missouri. This boys club was recognized by Ronald Reagan as a model for the country, and it's helped over 2 million kids plus many, many years ago. So it's got to be much more than that now. Throughout that, and he was a tremendous impact throughout the St. Louis area, very influential. But in this "it's my fault" context, he would always, didn't matter if I stopped by there to see him one time or a million times, he would always leave me with three tenets of how to live life. And he called it his 3 R's. He says, life is very easy if you live out these 3 R's. Number one is respect. It goes, most conflicts and most things are go astray if people don't respect one another. He said the second thing is restraint, having the ability to hold in your emotion, your thoughts, your words, you know, in a restrained manner so that you don't cause conflict. And then number three is responsibility. He says, if you can take responsibility and understand that you have a part in all of it, he goes, man, life is pretty easy. He goes, so anytime there's issues with politics in the city, anytime there was issues with businesses, he could bring them together. And he says, as long as we stay within respect for one another, showed restraint for one another's opinions and thoughts, and then took responsibility for our part, he goes, I always came out with the win. And so when we were talking about this topic today, he came top of mind. He's passed away now, but every single week for a few of his last years, I was able to stop by and get mentored by him. But without fail, every single week, those 3 R's was his way to life.
Dude, those are phenomenal, and that's a whole takeaway in itself from this conversation, man. You could unpack those boxes for
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
I know that's, and it came from me in the accountability. Like I said, when I stepped away from those self-defeating things that I was doing early on in life, and the accountability and realizing, being able to look myself in the eye and know that I was responsible for all of that,
Right.
and I was responsible for how I act every day.
Right.
People don't realize, I don't think, how freeing that is for you going through the day. The
Right.
freedom it gives you that I am responsible. You can't make me do something. You can't intimidate me to do something. I'm responsible for how I act.
Yeah.
One of the things that I teach people a lot is, I usually call it the hula hoop theory.
Okay.
I said, when you think things are out of control in your life, I said, take a hula hoop and throw it on the ground and step inside.
Hmm.
That's all you can control.
Right.
4 things: how you think, how you
Yep.
feel, what you say, and what you do. That's it. That's
Yeah.
the only 4 things you're in control of. So if you need to mentally, just in your mind, step inside that hula hoop and remind yourself, I can't control all this. And there's, in the last few years, there's been a popular saying too: "Not my monkeys, not my circus."
Right.
You know?
I like that. I like that.
Oh yeah, I love that one because that instantly puts me back in that frame of mind. I can't control
Right.
this. You
Yeah.
know,
Correct.
and I told a group of the NSA one time, I said, well, you can't make someone do something. I said, well, maybe you could, but law enforcement frowns on rope and duct tape. I
Right.
mean, leave that one alone.
That's what they do.
And it is truly freeing. And I love those 3 R's that you talked about because he's absolutely correct.
Right.
And sometimes it's funny how life, as we get older, that we lose track of some of those things, and something can bring us back to it just like that. It's
Yeah.
like this about "it's my fault," and you went right back to your mentor there and your uncle. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I miss a lot of my dad and his brothers taught me so much stuff, and they're all past now. As I get older, the more people in my life are passing
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
you know but this organization, the NSA, has created some bonds for me that will last a lifetime. I
Right.
mean, I released a podcast the version I released last week was Chris Johnson.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And Kenny Sexton, he watched it. He said, there should be a crime about you two having so much fun
Yeah.
on that. I said, man, if I'm
Right.
not having fun, I'm not doing it.
That's right.
Life is too short. I mean, my wife and I were talking about it not too long ago. I've outlived most of my uncles, my grandparents. The age that they passed away was before as old as I am now. So I feel blessed to still be here.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah.
So what's next up on Chris Robinson's agenda besides the city tours that you're doing?
Yeah, well, I got the city tours coming up. I'm very excited about that. That's where inside the Maxwell leadership world, where myself and Roddy Galbraith, one of our other mentors, will go to 5 different cities in 5 days. And so we'll start in Dallas, Texas. We'll go to Nashville. We'll go to Chicago, Toronto, and Washington, D.C. And we will meet with members, in those cities and just have a great time of connection. And so it's not a no agenda behind it. It's just purely with the motive to get people connected and to add value to people. So excited about that. And after that, we'll be off to, I go to Asia again. I'll be head off to the Philippines to speak over there. And then we're working on a couple different countries in between before I go to Fiji, before I head back home. So we'll take off there. And then after that, come back. And then we've got IMC, our International Maxwell Conference in Dallas, Texas. We got a lot coming up ahead.
I will see you there for that. I'll be at IMC. I won't be able to attend any of the city tours. It was funny, a year and a half ago, I guess it was, I saw you in Washington, in
Yeah,
Seattle.
yeah,
I got
that's
to
correct.
meet with
Yeah,
Dee as well.
yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty
yeah.
cool. You know. Now, I heard, Nashville and things, and then I heard Toronto. It's cold up there right now, right?
Hey, it's cold. It's north of Nashville.
It's definitely north of Nashville, brother.
Right, north of
It's a big
Nashville.
difference.
It's
It's
pretty
a big
cold.
difference in
Yeah.
Toronto and Palm Beach. Huge
Right, yeah.
difference in
And
temperatures.
so, it's winter time, and usually I try to schedule the northern states in the summer, and then the winter states, the warmer states in the winter. But hey,
How
these
dare
were the these were the top cities. I said, hey, I'm going to where we have the largest outreach in the cities that we've been to before, and so I said, hey, I'm going to endure the cold, and I'm going to go back to a couple of these cities. But a first time in DC for us going there for the group, and then our first time in Nashville as well. So very, very excited about those groups.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and see, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday, I'm going to be involved in it's a little mastermind group that was put together from some Maxwell leaders
Okay.
that we're going through the Jesus, the High Road Leader.
Oh, come on. That's awesome. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, myself and Jessica, Evangeline, who was on the call
Yeah.
with us this
Yeah.
morning. She's part of the group. Kenny
Yeah.
Sexton, Chris Johnson. There's like
Man,
nine
that's
or
a
10
good
of us.
group. That's a
Each
good
one of
group
us
you
is
got
taking
going
a
there.
chapter. Oh yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. Each one of us is taking a chapter, and mine's chapter 2. That Jesus
Right.
valued all people.
Yeah.
So I'm the one that gets to lead that. So I'm really looking forward to it. But I got to share this with you, and I need to be able to tell John this too. Something told me sometimes, we need to listen to those little voices in our head, those little God winks that people call them. I
Yep.
was going out of town not too a couple of weeks ago, and something told me about just taking that book with me. Now, I'd
Yep.
already read it, was getting ready to read it again so I could get ready for this mastermind class. And I'm in Pensacola, Florida, with a lifelong friend. Actually, he's the father of the young man that wanted me to make my uncle a drink. And I told him, I said, well, here's one of the books that I've got right now. And he goes, yeah, I like reading that kind of stuff. And I
Right.
went back to put it with my belongings. And then something told me I knew that there were things he was having some issues with his daughter. And I
Right.
walked back in and I said, I said, George, I said, you keep this book. I said, I'll buy another one to get ready for my mastermind.
Right.
And he happened to crack it open while I was there. And he announced at dinner one night with he and his wife and I that on January the 1st, he said, I'm going to call her and we're going to put this feud to bed. They hadn't spoken in 7 months, but he read something in the first few pages of that book that prompted him to call his daughter. I said, well, I want to know. So on the evening of January 1st, he sent me a text. He said, we made up. We're all good.
Right.
And I'm
Wow.
like, man, John will love to know that book, and just me
Yeah.
taking it with me and handing it to him, said, no, just give him this copy. You can get another one.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
called him. I said, dude, you have made my day, And sometimes we need to pay attention to those little nudges we get in life because, everything happens for a reason.
Right. Yeah.
That right there was the reason. And I didn't even ask what it was he read. Not my
Right.
business.
Not at
Something
all.
clicked. It was just my job to plant the seed.
Yep. That's correct.
And I planted the seed. It's God's job to take care of the rest of it.
Yep.
So it's a good thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in March. I want to
Yeah.
see this cowboy hat you've got.
Oh yeah. Come on. It's red. Come on. It's a
Dude,
60.
bringing
It's a
I'm
60.
bringing mine, man.
Come
You
on,
know,
Jeff. It's a 60X felt hat. I can't wait to wear it.
dude. I am in awe. Mine's only a 30.
Right.
But I got to tell you, I was at Paris Hatters in San Antonio, Texas,
Uh-huh.
in 2020,
Yeah.
and I walked in. I said, "Dude, I need a new Stetson."
Right.
So he set me up one. I said 7 3/8. That's why I said
Right.
this one. You got a small head.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he gives me one. I said, "Man, this feels great." He said, "Yeah." He said, "But try this one on." It was called El Padron, the boss,
Okay. The
and it's a
bomb.
30X. He
Right.
put that on my head. I went, "Whoa."
Right.
How much is this? And he said, I went, shh. I said, my
Right.
wife's over there. Don't say that too loud.
Right.
True story. I bought it and brought it home, man.
Right.
You know,
I love it. I love it.
I love my hat.
Yeah.
So I will bring it in March. I will be sporting that Stetson in because we're in Dallas, Texas, man.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
Hey, we're in Texas. We're in Texas.
absolutely. And Texas do as Texans do. Because you know me,
Right.
I've always got on different boots every
Yeah, you
day.
do. That's my
Yeah.
next step. That's my next step. Now I gotta get my boot game up, and I gotta
Luke,
get me a fight.
you get
Ah,
Lucchese's. They're
I heard
handmade
that
in El
too.
Paso,
That
Texas. I
twice.
can take a pair right off the rack in my size and wear them all day. They're that comfortable.
Really? Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah. That's what we need. That's a trip we need to make. We need to go down to Lucchese
Yeah,
and get you a
there we
tour of the
go.
factory, man. It's awesome. Because lo and behold, I know a couple of the managers at the outlet stores right outside the factory. So.
Right. Wow. Yep. I got to get there.
But your guy was right about the value of the hat. You're looking at the price of the hat, but dude, how much? I'm not even going to ask about that car you got.
Right.
Big delta between that and
Right,
the hat.
right. Big delta. There's a big delta.
Big delta between those two. So, Chris, thank you so much for being on here today, man. One last question: if there's anything you could leave our audience with, that they could use to start, maybe even doing some self-reflection and accountability for themselves, what would you leave with them today?
Yeah, when I think about this topic, it's my fault. I want you to think about that, not in the context of beating yourself up or talking negatively to yourself and going, "Well, it is my fault, and that's the reason that X, Y, Z went wrong in my life." Yeah, it's your fault. But here's the good news: is that it's also your choice to be able to take different actions today in order to move forward. So, although we can't change what's happened in the past, we can change what happens in our future if we make the choice today. That's what I share with them, Jeff. Today's a brand new day.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is like, people say, "Oh, it was a mistake." And I saw something not too long ago. I said, "Yeah, but if you keep making the same mistake, it's no longer a mistake. It's a choice." So for everybody, the choice is yours today on whether you're accepting responsibility for the things that are going on in your life. And I hope that you do, because trust me, from an experienced person here, it is a very liberating feeling on being able to take accountability for everything that you do and knowing that, it's your fault. So, Chris, thanks a lot, buddy.
Hey, thank you.